In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the record, Suburbanite and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Just in case you're unaware, this is one of our combined meetings. We start out in this room with a work session. And then if the crowd wants it, we go into the big room for our public meeting. Public comment will be taken in the public meeting. Also, if there's any votes to be taken in the meeting, they are taken in the public meeting as well. So first, we have recognition of Councilwoman Dayton. Do we have somebody here from...
I'm here. Thank you.
I'm going to spell it out because
It's we do.
We do.
Sure.
Not we don't. Okay.
Actually, we just changed the font and the logo because people are pronouncing it wrong.
Mrs. Gatilla. Welcome.
Hi. So my name is Julia Gatilla. I'm here from We Do, which stands for Women Empowered Democratic Organization of Bergen County. Here to present a certificate of achievement to Councilwoman Lauren Dayton for being elected to serve the community of Tenafly. So congratulations.
Lauren, look this way, smile, and wrinkle. Good thing happened with your picture. Open your eyes. Thank you.
Can we look over here?
And there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
There's nobody here from Me Do to recognize that person? All right, next we go.
I'm proud of it.
Next we go to our recycling schedule during the holidays with our director is here. Just to give you a background, we've had a problem for a number of years, especially at the end of the year. Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday. Christmas and New Year's, quite often, even if they're not on a Thursday or a Friday, the day off for the employees is that Friday, and it really creates havoc for the scheduling of pickup in certain sections of the town. So we've had numerous complaints over the years. We've never resolved it until now.
Hi, good evening, Council. So I took a review of the recycling schedule for the year and all the holidays consisting of it. First of all, I'd like to say all Monday holidays won't affect recycling for the residents. That's one day that we don't do recycling for the residents. Those days we do dumpsters, and when we can't pick them up on the Monday, we do it during the week. So I'm going to go to the holidays that are affected, that affect recycling for the residents. The first one is Good Friday, which is March 30th, and that's Zone 3 and 4, which is paper and cardboard. What we're thinking of doing on that day, we'll move it to the day before on the Thursday, on Holy Thursday, which is the 29th, and it's the 5th Thursday of the month, so we don't have any recycling that day, in that month, for that day. So we'll be moving that from that Good Friday to the Holy Thursday, which is the day before, and we're going to do a red alert, right?
Code red.
Code red, sorry.
And we
Code
got
red.
it early enough that it's going to be in the newsletter.
And it's going to be in the newsletter. The next holiday that'll be affected will be July 4th to Wednesday, and that's Zone 1 and 2 in paper. So we're thinking that what we're going to do is move it to July 2nd, Monday, July 2nd. Like I said, it doesn't. That's an open day for recycling, so we can move it to July 2nd.
You won't have a problem with vacations? You'll have enough staffing to
Yeah, we should have enough staffing for it. I sat down with the general foreman and we discussed the staffing situations and things like that. Then our next holiday that comes up that's a conflict is Thanksgiving Thursday, and that's commingled glass Zone 4. Now, commingled glass is like Zone 1, then Zone 2, then Zone 3, and then Zone 4 on Thursday. It's like every other day. It's 2 and 4 on Thursday, so it's first one is 2, then 4, then 2, then 4 on Thanksgiving Thursday. So we're thinking about it to moving it to The following, the following Thursday, because that's an open Thursday on the 29th. Okay, so that would be the Friday after Thanksgiving is Zone 3 and Zone 4 for paper and cardboard. We're thinking we'll move it to Monday 11/26.
Just to understand, you have a new schedule, and is it going to be published someplace where the people can say, if it's a code red, it's just two sectors. We don't have code red just for two, and the whole population of the town is going to say.
We have
Yeah.
mapping.
We can put it on one block.
But is there a way that we can notify people in a way that it doesn't have a phone call that gets hung up on before?
A newsletter.
Yeah,
That's-
we have two editions that, so we have two opportunities, two newsletters to publicize it.
To publicize, okay. And is that going to be on your website someplace where it shows that this is going to be specifically when the weeks come, specifically the week, people look at that and say, yes, it's going to be a different pickup date?
Yeah, it always is on the website.
Okay, so that's why I'm not trying
But
to...
the information, unfortunately, at that time was to advise people of when there wouldn't be pickups. Now we're going to be telling people when those pickups will be, those interrupted pickups will be rescheduled.
We could also do some sort of a press release for the Northern Valley Press, could we not? Just a reminder. They might put it in the paper.
They might put it in.
Can we do it like when we switch polling locations, where it's in the red on the top of the website, just for the holidays,
We
or the,
could, yeah.
or the
Yeah, we
confusing
could.
one
Very visible,
with
absolutely.
the with the link, which zone you're in?
Because you're
obviously-
going out date by date, and that's not going to resonate with us 6
No.
months from now.
No, I understand
yeah,
that. No,
no,
but this
we're
is
in the
just a
back.
presentation so that
Exactly.
you know what my plans are for the
So
upcoming year.
basically, you'll have alternative days
For
for each one of the holidays, and
Each major holiday.
each one of the holidays that impacted the pickup.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what we have. Lisa, is this as a result of my request to discuss the DPW? That's when it was put in.
It was as a result of phone calls made, a request from council.
I made a similar request, Max. We've been getting these complaints for quite some time.
No, the
You
reason
can
I'm
have the
saying,
credit.
no, the reason I'm saying is there are more about discussing the DPW that I wanted to have it here. One of them was the letter from Councilman Valzelato about the leaf pickup. And there are many other things that we
Well,
really
that's not
need
on
to...
the agenda.
But see, the agenda, I asked to be put on the agenda, and when you get the agenda, there is completely
But that's
different.
not the process. The process is if you want something on the agenda,
Yeah?
for the good of the order, you bring it up,
No.
and then the council decides if
Excuse
it
me.
goes on the agenda.
Here, I have talked to Lisa weeks in advance that the issue of the DPW should be put on the agenda. We were supposed to have it on the previous meeting, but Lisette said it was way too long, and we will have it on the agenda today. So we went through all the processes that are necessary, and when we get to the
She's shaking her
point...
head, so we'll discuss it today.
Okay, thank you.
Since recycling is currently now with upcoming holidays, March, Good Friday will be here before you know it. That's the main item. And since Carl will be here, is here, you can.
All right. So we can discuss. Carl,
Can I just
Finish up,
what's going
please.
on with the
Yeah.
recycling?
Yeah.
So the Friday after Thanksgiving was Zone 3 and 4, which is paper and cardboard. We're going to do that on the Monday, 11/26, okay? For Christmas Day, which is obviously Tuesday, which is Zone 3, it's commingled glass. What we're going to do it is on Christmas Eve. What I would like to have to do is have the guys come in early
Nice.
on Christmas Eve to get all the commingled glass. And maybe, there might be a couple hours of overtime in it, but in order for us to do it that week, and there'll be, if we don't do it that week, then there'll be, not have glass pickup for 4 weeks. So it's best that we do it that day. Then Wednesday, that's our floating holiday, which we have the day after Christmas. That's Zone 1 and 2 in paper. We're gonna do it on the 29th which is the Monday for Zone 1 and 2.
I mean, the most important thing is telling us now the dates is as much as important as letting us know that you acknowledged all of the dates which in the past where the people have missed their pickups. You've assigned dates to it, and the most important thing is I think we want to be assured that our residents will have as good an opportunity as possible to be notified as to when those pickups will take place. And if it's in the newsletter, and we do a code red, which can be focused only on the sections that are impacted, and maybe a press release, and on the website, it's very, very visible. More than that, we can't do. We all know from past experience that no matter what you do, there's going to be people that say we weren't informed, we didn't go as much as we should to get it done. But this is the first step. The second step will be implementing the notifications, which
Sorry.
You're doing a great job. I mean, this is perfect. Every one of these dates you've covered. More than that, we can't answer.
And before the end of the year, I'd like to get it done for the following year earlier, so it'll be on.
Fine.
All right, so, Lisette, are we gonna do the conversation for the good of the order, or we do
Well,
it now?
hold on. Are we finished with with this?
Yeah.
From the Environmental Commission, there was a suggestion that, like a refrigerator manual with a schedule of change dates, a small one. I mean, we can maybe combine that with the rest of the calendar with the borough if there's other changes, not just your department, let's say, big events, 4th of July, whatever we schedule in advance, we might be able to somehow get that to residents.
I think what that's going to is the community night. DPW has a booth.
Mhm.
I don't know about magnets, we'll look into that, but
Right.
we can have
Anything, right,
information.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe the Chamber of Commerce can get a sponsor for a magnet.
How about a calendar from the borough?
Let's not go crazy here. Okay, now Max,
Okay.
what other issues did you want to bring up while we have our
All right,
DPW director here?
Quick, look, over the last year or so, we had a lot of problems with the DPW. And I would say over the last 2 years, more than basically we can handle. If you look at the leaf collection, and probably you should have read the letter that the Councilman Barzilato sent to the entire council, and I'm not going to talk for you, but you can say it basically yourself. The leaves do not get really collected, and in other towns, when they collect the leaves, they go around and they make sure that it's not only the ones on the street, but if the wind blows a little bit on the people's lawn or so, they kind of vacuum to make sure that everything is done, which is not. The grounds, for example, in our parks are not maintained almost at all. We had a problem in all the parks and so, and the bushes around all the parks are just going wild. There is no trimming, nothing. There is maybe Councilman didn't want to talk about her problem.
Well, the playgrounds, since I'm a school mom, the playgrounds have been covered in litter over the past year and a half. There's a lot of overbrush, there's a lot of lack of just maintenance throughout. I've heard from numerous parents that they will not use our playgrounds here in town, they don't like the cleanliness of them. They're going over to Closter or Demarest or other towns for that. I think that's, something that absolutely can be taken care of by our town. The skate park as well, we know has been hidden behind bushes, and that's always on our agenda. And the maintenance on that, I think, has been lacking. And this is before your tenure.
It's not you. We're
So-
talking about the problem existing.
So we've heard a lot of DPW issues on top of the litigation and the various employment grievances and things that So
I think that a additional supervision or something is really necessary because we don't want this to basically continue. We had trees that have been cut, and even though we have a planting program, we have a deficit of 1,200 trees, and there were not. Because of that, there are problems with the shade in our parks, and new mothers don't have a place where they can bring their newborn to put them in swings, and all this just basically perpetuated to a point that we need a lot of stuff done.
Well, we want you to have an opportunity to get your feet on the ground. Okay, where the parks are concerned, I think we need a better level of maintenance, okay? And I would urge members of the council, if they get complaints about specific parks, and Lauren, if you're there yourself,
I've seen
you
it myself.
notify Jewel immediately. Jewel lets Carl know. That's the process, and that's the way we can go forward. As far as the leaf pickup is concerned, I understand exactly what's been said. You know, some landscapers, some residents pile their leaves up nice and neat on the street. It's easy. Anybody can come by with a vacuum and pick them up. Other people aren't so diligent. But what often happens is when the pile is gone, there's leaves all over the adjacent lawn. There's the street is a mess. That wasn't always that way, but I did notice it last year. That sort of situation escalated. So it's a legitimate complaint, and I think that we hope that we can do better next year.
Now that I'm aware of it, obviously, I mean, I wasn't here for leaf season last year, but when it comes to leaf season, I'll make sure I take a look at it.
Jeff had his hand up, then Tony.
Just hearing all this, and you have your work cut out for you, obviously. I mean, I'm just wondering, we have a police commission, we have council members for the recreation board, we do building through planning and everything. Do we have a council representative who, instead of everybody going this way and that way, and when they hear something, some way we can filter some of this? Is there a council representative who we can have or should
No,
have?
you have an administrator.
But I'm saying we have all the other major parts of
But there
town.
isn't a DPW board.
Liaison,
There is a
yeah.
recreation
They don't go
board.
to departments, they go to boards and commissions.
I think given the severity of the issues, especially the employment issues,
That has
we've-
nothing
that has nothing to do with
with
this.
this.
Well, I think that Jeff's idea of having a council, someone there to work with the DPW, we have a council rep at each and every aspect of our municipal town. I like this idea. I think a representative from our council who works with Carl Rossi and who, just like we work with Police Chief Chamberlain and the other aspects of our town, I think it's a great idea to have information, a flow. You let us know what's happening. We can help you if you need resources.
Well,
That kind of interaction.
if you're suggesting that we have a liaison with the DPW, Jeff, would you like that job? Would you like to be the liaison with the DPW? It was your
Yes.
suggestion, Jeff.
I would never say no.
All right, and we'll talk about Sally later.
Well, Max, just to go back to that point, I would like the council to appoint a liaison here, and I think it should be a representative from the council. I don't think it should be a mayor appointment. I'm not sure that falls under your purview of
It does.
appointments.
It does. Since you're not sure, I'll
Is
say
that-
what's your.
We can ask the council,
You ask the borough clerk.
but for-
Yeah, well, unless there's an ordinance that creates the position, it would fall to just a regular liaison.
If you don't like my appointment, you could tell me.
No,
You know, you
I
could-
ignore Jeff. I'm
Okay,
just-
well then, fine.
But-
I don't know what your point is, Lauren. You say
Mayor-
there's a learning curve, but you don't seem to want to learn, you seem to want to
Mayor,
just blurt it out.
Mayor, your comments are unnecessary here.
Well, so
I am
is yours.
kind of rude.
I am asking that the council appoint somebody.
That's not their
and-
purview,
And we
though.
haven't had a chance to discuss it.
It's not their
and
purview.
I disagree, because we have the option to
Well,
make it
how
our
can you
purview.
disagree? You don't know what you're
Because
talking
the
about.
We have
council
the
has-
option to make it an ordinance and have it discussed amongst us, who should be the best representative. If you don't agree with the ordinance, you may always veto it, but we have not even had a discussion yet as to whether that's the route we want to take, or whether it should be your mayoral appointment, and I think we have the right to that discussion.
Yeah, and I don't think that a discussion like this should be cut off by, this is a council meeting where we need to discuss those issues. And
As long as it's discussed at the council meeting, that's fine.
It's a council meeting, yeah.
But they have to by ordinance.
So,
Go around
Jeff,
and discuss.
if we,
Do you have a say?
Bill, can we write a resolution to that effect?
Not a resolution.
Or the ordinance?
In order to do that, you'd have to pass an ordinance that creates a position.
Yeah.
all right? Because a council in a borough obviously has the right to create offices. It's part of what a borough form of government is. That's the only way you would get the right to actually appoint someone. You'd have to amend the municipal code.
Listen, years ago, wait a second, let's not make this into an old dog and pony show here. Years ago, we used to have a liaison to the DPW. The mayor is appointed, Jeff. Let's move on. Very simple.
Well, in the
So it always used to work.
First of all, in the old days, the mayor appointed liaisons of that nature, and we moved away from that because it led to micromanaging. Okay, it led to the fact where liaisons in various departments seemed to know more about those departments than everybody else, and everybody else got upset about it. It's a question of whether you want to do a committee of the whole or a committee of a council of committees. And believe me, a committee of the whole works much, much better. If you don't like the way I make my appointments, we can discuss that. I've always looked for your input before I make appointments. If you don't want Jeff to be the liaison, if you have somebody else in mind, Lauren, I'm more than willing to listen to it.
Well, I just personally know that both Jeff and I have numerous amounts of committees right now, and I was looking to maybe share the workload with the rest of the council, so that was my only thought, and, I leave it up to the rest of the councilmen to weigh in.
Well, listen, to be a liaison to the DPW, there's no meetings to attend. It's not, it would just be just a go-to person, that's all. It's really
And by the way,
it can't get much simpler than any
I
other
think that
committee.
it's important at the moment to have that type of continuous communications. There are too many problems that you want to basically solve now than basically to listen. You want to be able to communicate to the DPW what is the process and what are the priorities of the council, and be able to come back to the council and say, here how are they going to be taken care of. It's more, since we having these huge problems, which basically were so neglected over so many years, it's important now.
Excuse me, where are you going with? Now all of a sudden we've had this problem for years?
Tell me how many years did we have the problem with the pickup? You tell me. You tell me how many years we have the problem.
You explain to me how the level of communication will be improved if we have one liaison. If anybody on this council at this table has an issue with what's going on with the DPW, they pick up the phone and they can call Jewel, and Jewel relays it. Anything that's discussed here, the line of communication is very simple because we don't often have our department heads here.
Okay,
The discussion is had here, and the administrator, the next morning, while you're sleeping or at work, because we have lives, we're part-timers theoretically, we're not working full-time. She's full-time, he's full-time.
Yeah,
That communication is done immediately.
Then let's look at the results. The fact that the leaves don't get connected.
Well, apparently nothing is done to your satisfaction anymore.
It's not me, it's everybody around. The fact that Lauren has to take the kids to a park outside the town because of the garbage and debris are in the park. It's not me, it's the town.
Well, it is you. You've been a councilman for 6 years.
Yeah, and we are every time we try
to. If it's
to.
happened that bad,
Yeah, exactly.
maybe you should have said something 5 years ago.
We said it all the time. We had the person coming in here asking for a tree planting, and nothing has been done. We had basically when
How
we
can you say nothing's been done? We've planted lots of trees.
How many trees have been planted since we discussed about a program to be presented to the council, and how we're going to mitigate the 1,200 trees that were cut?
Where do you get 1,200
or
from?
whatever the number was.
Well, why are you saying a number if you don't know what it is?
I don't.
It's called exaggerating.
600 trees, 300 trees. When was that they came back to us, this is the program? Nothing. The fact that we have this discussed about the David Johnson's part, the fact that the grass is not cut. When did somebody come back to us? When we have issues with the personnel, till they explode, nothing is basically happening till we have a problem. We have a lawsuit, and we have to pay money.
The lawsuit has nothing to do with this.
Let's say there is. If we continue to manage in a way that everything is perfect, and we have dirty playgrounds where people cannot bring the kids to the playground, that we have the leaf collections problems, but everything is perfect, is basically hiding behind everything. That's why we think that we need to have a direct connection, so this doesn't happen. We have to change the way we are managing it so we don't have the same problem, because you know the definition when you do the same thing over and over again, hoping to have a different result. You know that the definition of that. So that's what we're trying, and if we have to write a resolution or a ordinance, we will do that, because we wanted to change that.
Max, you say you come from a corporate background.
Absolutely.
Okay, well then you should understand what a board of directors does.
Yeah.
All right, they do not manage. They do not manage. They appoint managers and give them guidance and direction. All right, you are part of a board of directors here.
Yes, they are.
You want to
And
manage.
In extreme cases like the ones we have right now,
What is so extreme about the case we have?
the fact that we have dirty background, playgrounds that people that cannot bring the
People bring their children all the time. I don't disagree that Lauren is maybe correct, that it should be better. Okay.
It's
So
not just my opinion, I just want to clarify, this is many mothers who
Okay,
have
so,
written in.
you know what, Lauren? It's your opportunity as a council person. You have a direct line to our administrator,
It is heard.
especially if you can say, you know, I was at Froggy Park, it's a nightmare. The next morning, he will be down at Froggy Park, and that will be taken care of. All right?
So going back to this liaison.
You're next,
Oh, I'm
after
sorry,
Tim.
Tony.
No, go on, Lauren, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I absolutely think that it would be good if we find in a year or two it's micromanaging, we can always change it then, but for the time being, I support that idea. I defer to Tony.
Just going forward in a positive note here. You're the new sheriff in town when it comes to the DPW, so unfortunately you're getting slammed in all different directions. But what we, usually in the past, leaf season leaf pickup has been wonderful in Tenafly, because we've had times where we had to work overtime on Saturdays. It was this year we didn't have any overtime at all, and it just seemed like it snowballed.
We fell behind.
And so that's the problem that we have to address. And listen, if it means you have to work in a couple Saturdays, so be it. That's, we have to make sure that that gets completed throughout the year, and especially the time frame with the snow coming. All, of course, you know more than ever, right? I will ask though, if you look throughout town now, there's still massive amounts of leaves on people's properties, on the streets, that still should be picked up today. I don't know what your schedule is for the winter, but maybe if we can try to address that before, especially before some big snowstorms come or whatever, that would be much helpful. But yes, if we could just address that, overtime, whatever you need to do to get the job done, I think you're gonna have the full support of this council for sure.
Carl, you're between a rock and a hard place. We're talking budgets now, and we want to get our budget down to zero. We want to be as efficient as possible, but we also have goals, and sometimes it doesn't coincide with the zero budget. I would appreciate if you listen to what everybody at this table says. If you need additional tools in order to accomplish what we ask you to accomplish, then you have to let us know. And then this body will make a decision. For example, the tree situation, which Max has been in the forefront for quite some time. I would agree, I'd like more trees planted than planting them. But nobody's ever come back to us and say, look, this is all I can do. If you want more, this is what I need to do more. So that I believe is what we want to hear. Okay, I will close this discussion hopefully so we can move forward simply by saying the last liaison we had with the DPW, which is about over 10 years ago, was down there telling them what type of trucks to buy. And he had about as much expertise in trucks, Lauren, as you and I do. So
I'm not suggesting that.
well, but that's exactly what happens.
But just like we have a liaison to the police, yet we don't know,
But we don't manage the police.
and I'm not looking to
We're-
manage the DPW. I'm looking to have a line of communication between us and that department.
Okay.
So, Jeff? Is that your
Trust me,
appointment,
I
Mayor?
can't micromanage our work full-time. So, my only point was that we have a commission or board, we have something for every single entity that runs this town.
We don't have a commission, we have liaisons for a
Well,
lot
I
of
said,
them.
or board or entity, I
But
did
some we
not
don't.
just say commission.
Some we don't. We don't have a liaison with the assessor's office. We don't have a liaison with the tax
The
office.
major ones that are visible. Certainly.
A lot of people tell you the tax office is
They are
major.
visible.
All right, next.
My only point was that that's one that we don't, and my question was, should we be looking at that? That was my question. I didn't say that we should go running full charge into it,
Well, it
which
sounded
the
like
discussion became,
I know-
but mine was, we have for police, we have for fire, we have for building through different things, and is there a need for one here? So,
Mayor,
your
Now we
Mayor,
difference
I
of
suggest,
opinion.
Mayor,
Yeah.
being that Jeff has got more on his plate than he probably knows what to do with, I'll be glad to take that role, and I'll report back to the council.
I
as
would
needed.
also be glad to do so,
All right,
and
so-
I don't work.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah.
You know, we don't need somebody calling the DPW 12 times a day, and that seems to
I
be the
don't think
your
that ever
pattern.
happened to any commission that we were part of, but I think that
Peter, I'll be glad
as as Tony offered his services, I also offered my services. So,
Okey-doke. Thank you, Carl.
So
Have
do
a pleasant rest of the evening.
What's happening?
we, so do we have an appointed liaison now? Can we
Well, I
just
thought
run
I
it?
did, but if Jeff doesn't
Councilman
want it, Tony would volunteer, and I think that would be fine.
Okay. Let me just remind you of two things. Number one, when we were falling behind last year, in the fall and the spring, because we had people out on workers' comp, and we brought in outside tree services so that we wouldn't fall too far behind. Every time a bill came up on the list, we were questioned about it, interrogated about it. So it's not as though we don't manage our resources. We talked about the fact that from a manpower perspective, in terms of when we brought in additional resources, typically we only brought in additional help during the fall months for leaf season.
And that's the
And we
seasons,
talked
right?
about expanding that to the spring. If you recall, in the fall, you passed a resolution that allowed us to contract with an agency that would provide personnel so that we don't have to go through a full-blown hiring process. All of those resources will be available for the spring. That's why we did it in advance, okay? So we do plan and we do manage.
Oh, yeah, but wait, Joel, you need to
Yeah.
be corrected on one item, please, because I'm the one that brought up about the trees. The reason I objected every single time to a bill for an outside tree agency is because of mismanagement. There's no way that you can sit here and tell me that the reason we're not cutting down trees in Tenafly is because we don't have a tree foreman, because that's a bunch of nonsense, okay? If I have DPW employees that don't know how to cut trees, then we got a problem,
We
right?
had-
Because that's a bunch of nonsense.
If you recall, we had multiple people out. The tree
Oh,
foreman
please,
was only
please.
one.
You don't need a tree foreman to show somebody or to oversee how to cut down a tree or
We
cut a
had
limb, please.
multiple
I don't
people.
care, I don't care. You
Well,
still got it, you got.
that's how you fall behind.
No, okay, then it's called mismanagement.
Okay.
Thank you. Just want to make sure you're clear on that. Let's move on.
Just want to say one thing. You have to be trained properly in order to
Thank
be
you.
a tree climber, a
Correct.
tree trimmer.
Correct.
And
But you
it
also
takes-
had a tree
No,
crew.
no, I'm just saying, it takes a lot of classes and a lot of education in order to be that. I don't know what the situation was last year.
Members of the tree crew were on workers' comp.
I think we
Like I
had
said, like I
three
said,
people on the tree crew and two of them were out, correct?
Correct.
So I don't know what the situation was last year, but we are sending people out to get,
Question.
Additional training.
training for tree trimming and tree planting right now, as we're
Good.
talking right now.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have our police chief here to talk about parking restriction proposal review. I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at it. It's pretty
Yes.
simple, makes a lot of sense. It improves the situation, I believe, in 3 of the elementary schools. Chief?
Right here.
Oh, okay. I saw the uniform. Does anybody have any questions about what's proposed?
Yeah.
I do. So I'm a mom parent, so I'll just put it that way. I'm on this line every single day, twice a day. I have 2 small children. The second one is not in the school yet, so I have to figure out ways to, for the past couple of years, to park my car and get both kids safely out. I see the massive traffic every day I'm on. It takes me over 35 minutes to pick up my children if I don't get out of the car now. But for kindergarten and first grade, you have to walk to the door. So finally this year I get a little reprieve. But for the past 2 years, I've had to park I've gone through this. I actually walked the street today on Magnolia and counted, 50 feet back and 50 feet for all these things. And I'm just concerned that it reduces parking spots. And I understand, the houses that exist there also have to coincide with this, but it reduces too many parking spots that parents are going to be without a place to easily walk a child. And most of the people who are parking and walking have small ones and strollers or little ones, and they can't walk from other blocks. It has to be, Magnolia, or it has to be Prospect or Sisson.
Yeah.
So this to me is restricting too much parking, and that's my concern. And again, I'm sure you've been monitoring it, but I live it every day.
And I live on Magnolia, as probably you know, and I see the problems they have, but people need to park to go and pick up their children. It inconvenienced me and would have been for me, but I don't think that would be a solution for the people that have to go and pick up the children. Did we discuss that with the school board?
No.
We should discuss them and discuss the issue of how they're going to be able to go and pick up the children if they cannot park the car. How the flow that you want to establish, it's a good basic idea, but specifically for those elementary schools, even though it inconvenienced me terribly because I have the cars, I think about the parents and the small children, Lauren, and I think that we should discuss it with the school board and see what would be the solution, because they require those people to take the kids by their hands and bring them to school. They have to park the cars.
Isn't one of the reasons you're doing this as a result of complaints from the school?
This proposal is three different locations. The one we're talking about now is Morm School.
Morm
School
Sorry,
is
that's where I am, so.
Morm School is unique to almost all the other schools because Morm School basically all of the dropping off and picking up has to be basically done in front of the school.
Exactly.
All the other schools have the luxury of being able to do it on multiple sides. So this has always been a very, very challenging area. This is safety based. We always do safety based over convenience. What we have right now is that because we have so many cars in the area, the roads basically reduced down to one lane.
Right.
It's
Okay,
terrible.
so on roads that are two-way.
Yeah.
So how do you go two-way traffic on one lane?
You are right. I have to go back around and come back.
We don't have any sidewalks there, so
Yeah.
people are walking amongst cars. I'm looking to remove vehicles on certain locations to basically widen the road to let traffic safely go back and forth. I mean, trust me, I don't want to inconvenience people, and I'm happy to hear that you are one of the people that walk. We always encourage people to walk because we think too many people drive to school anyway. But in this particular area also too, if you were there today and you live nearby, you'll see that there are cones that are out there, and there are also some signs out there. So basically, we've had cones and signs out there kind of controlling this already, and we haven't had any complaints. I'm just looking to basically get rid of the unsightly cones, the unsightly emergency no parking signs, and put up, standardized parking signs. The only real change with this is Magnolia going next to a little bit toward your house,
Yeah,
that
I know.
section. And what that is because that's a two-way road that's narrowed down to one lane, if we have cars that park on both sides of the street, we have an impasse. So what we're creating now on that curb line, it's a no parking, but when I say no parking, it's really, at the other school zones, it's a standing area. It's a moving line. So cars can be there. Parking is constituted when you get out of your car and you walk away from it. We have a lot of people sit in the car, but it's a moving
What about
line.
the people that come from, I don't know where they come, up the hill, and they have to park and go and pick up their kids? They will have to leave the car.
So they'll
And-
park a little further away, Mac. Max, your youngest child is in his 20s.
I'm not worried about me.
I know, so let...
I do this every day.
She's, I understand where she's coming from.
I do it at
But
4, and
you-
you are required in kindergarten and first to park. So that's also maybe something to bring up at the school on a separate thing. My question for you is, have you come up with any place for the buses that hold up those lines? Have you come up with any other solutions for the buses not to, perhaps the buses come in the middle of the carpool line and then the whole line gets backed up and parked? So that's also blocking driveways and the egress. So
Are you saying on Magnolia in front of the school?
On Magnolia, the school buses
I,
that come in.
and now, I've been off the road for a couple of years now, I'm in the office. Sergeant Greeley could maybe help me out with this. Last I knew, those buses go into that little driveway parking area.
They're not. Now they're coming in the center of the carpool line.
On Magnolia?
On Magnolia.
Okay, so the problem is that, what, it's creating problems?
So we can't let our children on or off while the buses are there. They hold the whole line, and that's the one that backs up right down the line in Magnolia, and now it's actually going up Hudson. So
That's right.
it's going up Hudson, and it's a nightmare. If you're stuck on Hudson, you're now blocking anyone coming up Hudson.
So, but that's secondary to the, so there's an issue with the school bus creating some problems. You're asking for us to look into a safe and ultimate location for the school buses to go to.
Yes, as well as maybe these setbacks.
I can speak to the traffic
Yeah.
supervisor about that. But when it comes to these things, something, I know you're seeing distances, but basically, this is already kind of in place. Have you seen the cones that are there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
I've
not
also
for
seen-
325 feet.
I've also
I lived over there.
Right, so that.
It's like about 50 feet of the intersection they put the cones.
But I've seen many parents who are late for school just
Right.
park literally where it says "Do not park here" with your little signs and cones, and just get out of the car, run it, and run back. I mean, they're literally just ignoring, especially on the curve of Sisson, where they do it.
We're trying to create,
I know.
some safe passage. One lane is unacceptable. This basically is done to establish that. It's safety based.
Okay. I mean, I know people have been monitoring it, and I appreciate that.
Jeff?
The other location, Angle Street.
Yes.
You're the other one.
I'm always having this discussion with my friends around town, because I live near Angle, and I am glad that there's a greater sight line. But every time we do something, it's creating fewer parking spots. So how many parking spots will this eliminate approximately?
I don't have the count. I mean, right now, if I'm, a standard parking spot's probably about 20 feet. And if we're going to do 50 feet on both sides of these, you're going to say probably 4 cars per entrance. So Kensington Court, probably 4 cars north and south of it. Primrose Court is already a restriction on one side, so another 2 cars, so that's, 4, 6. And then the driveway to 19. 19 already kind of doesn't really, it depends because there's yellow curbing there, but
Right,
some
I've
people
seen
don't
that.
really have the signage there. I'm going to say 6 to 8 spots.
Jeff, there's a history on Engle Street. And
I know the history
I'm sure
real well,
you do. But the end result, what we're stuck with now, is probably the best of any of the potential solutions, if you want to use the term solution. We've got the cars off the side streets. They're parking on Engle, which is wide enough to hold them.
Commercial route, too.
And anytime we expand what we're doing here, all it does is push some of the cars a little further down Engle Street. I noticed the other day for the first time there were cars north of Westervelt parked there for commuters. I never saw that before. So but the street fortunately can handle it better than the side streets.
If I could finish where I was going with it, because what we've been doing by taking people off side streets, then widening the areas around roads like Elm, Oak, Downey, now widening this, we're just kicking the can down the road. I think what we need is some long-term look at where are those 10 cars, 8 cars, whatever it is, 12 cars going to end up going. They are going to keep going north. It's going to create other problems. And I've heard complaints that when you have a truck coming down Angle these days, the way people are parking, it is hard to safely negotiate it. It's not as wide as we think. But my concern is, this is a great solution. I love the safety aspect, but it creates new problems. And I think at some point we need to look at how do we stop creating new problems and have a long-term solution for.
We did a major parking study about 5 or more years ago, and we understand when we put restrictions up on the hill, and it forces cars to go somewhere else. Obviously, but the truth of the matter is, commuters have nowhere else to go. We don't want them in the Stop and Shop lot. We don't want them in the CVS lot. Okay, we want people to take the bus. We want to get cars off the road. It's a real dilemma, and I think unless somebody can come up with a better idea, what we've got is as good as it's going to get. And what he's doing in this particular case is improving the sight lines.
Safety.
Which is safety.
And I said-
Which I think is the complete
said that
intent,
that was
also at
absolute-
Morm and at
Yeah.
McKay.
Look,
But we're
Nobody's
moving,
suggesting-
but we're moving them somewhere, I mean, have we looked at maybe on some of the side streets allowing parking on just one side?
And by the way, a majority of these people are Tenafly residents.
Mhm.
It's not like people are coming, one time we thought a lot of these parkers are coming from other towns.
Yeah.
Some are, but the majority of them are
And if
Tenafly
you
residents.
notice, my opening on that was, I've had discussions with friends of mine in town who park there. That's how I started this, because I know it's mostly Tenafly residents that this is affecting.
Former chair of the Board of Adjustment, of course.
A
So
few
those are
things
the
to
big
say
ones.
that about this. I finished, I'm sorry.
I'm
No.
done.
Yeah, okay, a few things to discuss. We discuss all the time the planning and stuff like that, and specifically for the Tenafly people, we have to find a way for them to park in our parking lots for free, so they don't get, we need to look at the charges and stuff for the parking lot for ourselves. At 5:45 a few weeks ago, I was in the CVS parking lot to
In the evening?
in the evening in the CVS parking lot, and I said, because before I was going to the gym, 5:45 the bus comes from New York, from across the street. People get off the bus, they come into the CVS parking lot. 3 people take the 3 cars and drive away. There should be a way that we should be able to manage that CVS parking lot so it doesn't become a commuter parking lot. There should be a way, and Chief, we're gonna have to figure out a way to make sure that doesn't happen. I was over there, so I was a witness, and I know that was true.
And you're going to have that from time to time. And you've seen basically the summonses we've been issuing. We've been issuing a lot of parking tickets in the downtown, and I know we've been issuing in that lot. And some people just don't care, and they'll do it anyway.
Okay.
But we're writing summonses now. You can't tow cars or something.
No, I don't mean
At a
that.
time.
But if
But
you
we
do that,
are-
organize that, regular basis, after a while, people get tired of those summonses. So if that becomes a regular affair rather than a sporadic every 2 months or 3 months, which is part of your pocket, say, I pay a ticket every 3 months, it's fine. Another thing, and I'm glad that you are here, people from the senior center. I went over there and they want me to give you something. This is a sign, if it's possible to be put someplace. We have an ordinance saying that there are no bicycle, no skate, and stuff like that, but people still take bicycles and sometimes skateboards on Washington. Can we put some
I'm sorry,
signs
the ordinance is for the sidewalks.
for the sidewalks? Exactly. And they still go to the scooters and stuff like that. And the senior center, they told me that it's so inconvenient for them. They're afraid more than anything else. So they ask me if I can in the evening, if I meet with you, to give you this one, and I know you're gonna take care of it, and find out if we put some signs or something, so on Washington and on that street that the senior center is, so there are no skateboards or and somehow, if there is a sign, you might not have to enforce it so much, if rather than.
In regard to the signs, when it comes to regulations, I believe we're an over-regulated society. I'm not for regulations. I'm doing this obviously because there's reason. When it comes to signs, I'm also very careful about sign pollution. I'll look for downtown, but downtown, that's a little tricky location to put signs like that. But we'll
You'll
look into
find
it.
the best way to do it.
Oh, I have another sign that someone actually wrote me, and I had sent it in a little too late. They wrote Friday afternoon, a mom who saw you were on the agenda. This is going back to the mom safety around the school on County Road, where they release children behind the school for carpool pickup and for car pickup. People are pulling up behind the playground on County Road. The kids are getting in the car, and traffic is backing up there as well. And I'm not sure if anyone's been monitoring that. So the kids who release from the back of the school are going down. The parents are kind of avoiding the carpool lines in the front of the school, coming around the back, slowing down. The kids get in. And this mom said, the rest of the cars are speeding around these people. First of all, neither
Improper loading.
improper loading. There's no signage there, but this mom has requested a school zone blinking sign. I don't know if that's proper.
That's not
or
going to eliminate improper
Right,
loading.
but so both of these issues, this mom wants a sign that says you're in a school zone so that the other cars know there's children coming out. There is a crossing guard back there behind on County Road. But there's no
Right.
signage saying to the rest of the cars or people passing through on County, which is a very busy street, it's a school zone. And second, the improper loading needs to be
But
handled.
isn't there a school crossing, a pedestrian sign?
Yeah, there's a crossing.
Which is a
guard
schoolhouse
there.
And they want it, they said it's not visible enough for people who don't know there's a school.
It's
And they wanted
fluorescent
a
yellow.
blinking line, I don't know, a blinking sign, again, something to look into, but the cars are doing that.
I will pay
Loading.
attention to the traffic.
And I know the parking guard back there is very overwhelmed feeling as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
That's-
Did you have enough?
You good?
So is there an ordinance?
Yeah.
It needs to go in right preparing an
Chief, come back.
Not done.
I should have run, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're not fast enough. Okay, we have to do an ordinance if we want. Do you want to look again at the Magnolia before we do an ordinance? To make sure about, to talk to the school board or so, just to make sure that we have no issue with safety?
No,
Well, there is an issue. with
No, I
safety.
mean-
Honestly, listen, the police department and the school is something, we relate very well on a lot of topics, but when it comes to the traffic, that's our domain. And, something educational facility, that's theirs. They would defer to us anyway, so I have a good relationship with them. And actually something, this is obviously with the support of the crossing guard who's down there trying to manage that disaster down there. So, this is coming from the traffic bureau, who's basically there on a regular basis. And this is what they recommended. I've actually driven the site. I don't just look at it myself. I'm like yourself. I go down there because I used to be in the traffic bureau myself. It's something I wanted to process it. And like I said, it's already in existence now.
And we're gonna put signs? We're gonna put signs
We're
or
gonna
signs-
take the cones away and put signs.
Yeah, it's going to look a lot neater, and it's going to control the area. And again, if there's
So
further issues, we
let me
will.
just ask a question, because now we can, if I park my car in front of it, I'm gonna get a ticket during 2 and 2-4?
On Magnolia, and
Yeah.
that one section, actually, no, it's something, I tell you what, I'm not in favor of very long-term ones, if you notice.
No, if I park
Well,
my
no,
car.
but if you notice, it's actually, they're very short periods.
I know,
It's
but
the
if-
morning pickup and the afternoon
So Chief,
dismissal.
I put my car in front of, and I forget between 2 and 4, there's pickup. I'm gonna get a ticket in front of my house?
No, this is on the other side of the street.
Only on the other side of the
Yeah,
street?
doesn't it say the side?
Where Vinu lives.
Yeah.
Okay, Vino's gonna get a ticket. All right,
It's not in front of your house, it's across the street.
yeah, Vino gets a ticket. You're right, that's
He's
right.
on the carpool line.
All right, there is one more thing I have to say, and I'm sorry that at 152, I'm not gonna say it, there is a family that has children with special needs, and they have asked me if we can do something because the bus is coming, people are parked, and they cannot release the kids through the cars. Those are special needs kids.
And that's where, in front of the school?
152 Magnolia.
Or they're dropping off at the house?
Yes. Can we do something?
And then that's by where, 152? Is it-
2 blocks down, 2 houses down from mine.
Magnolia.
152 Magnolia. That's
So what's in the afternoon dismissal?
yes, of course.
What time
absolutely
does the
dismissal.
bus come by?
2 to 4, something like that. Exactly. If we can do something for the
Let
family.
them look into it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the exact same time as carpool pickup. I see the bus all the time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Run before.
Run.
So are we doing an ordinance based on the recommendations for
Correct.
introduction
Yes.
next meeting?
Next is a potential resolution, which you folks asked for.
Yes.
And I think eventually you're going to be very pleased with what you see. But in any case, no problem with this resolution, guys?
No.
Lady and guys?
I'm fine.
Me too.
Okay, administrators report.
We have an update on the fast budget software. We told you how even though the state has released this program and it is mandatory, they are having technical difficulties with it. So they released another local finance notice, and they have basically tried to clarify the issue of allowing municipalities to submit paper budgets up through the time of introduction. They are requiring that the budgets be posted in their system, the FAST system, for adoption. But of course, this is all contingent upon them fixing the problems and us being able to comply with what they're telling us as of today's date. So Susan has been working with the auditor, and everybody, as far as I know, is still having problems.
Yes.
But this is what the state has required us to do. But we have to admit that allowing us to at least do the paper version of the budget for introduction purposes does make things a little easier for us.
Here goes an extra 3.
Okay, with regard to the hearing schedule, previously you had a version which was in the draft form. You have an attachment on page 3 which gives you the final breakdown of time slots. We do have one possible change on March 6th with regard to the, typically we have the bond counsel, but depending on his availability at that time, we may have a financial advisor. But we will have the opportunity to have them coordinate with the auditor and give you a full rundown on where we are with the proposed budget and what our financial condition is.
And what's a financial advisor?
The municipal advisor that looked at our bond restructuring when we issued bonds this year.
Okay, so the one that we hired when we looked at the bonds situation to figure out whatever, it's not somebody that's going to tell us, or is somebody that's going to tell us, this is your financial situation, this is what you should do, and stuff like that.
Well, they're part of who we have for the whole year as we budgeted in the budget this year.
I know we budget.
So if we use them, it's minimal fees.
Yeah,
and
no,
we
I
keep
just
it
want to
in
know
case we
what
need them.
information they're going to give us.
They're gonna give us the stability of Tenafly, what we can look to for the future, what the current bond situation is, and they'll just talk to that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. We had an inquiry from Councilman Grossman regarding the use of fireworks and sparklers. We did pursue this with the fire prevention, who has responsibility for fireworks displays in the town. And as you can see, his recommendation is that according to the state law, we cannot, as a municipality, further regulate the acquisition and procurement of sparkling devices, but there is a possibility that we could control where the devices are used when it comes to municipal property. So Alden has recommended that we ask the borough attorney to prepare an ordinance for that purpose.
Okay.
Okay, and we have no problem with it. We think it makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yeah, does that matter that it's on school board property
Like
for
4th of July?
4th of July?
No. We work very well with the school.
We already have several
Yeah, but the
ordinances.
ordinances,
They would have to
can
pass
we-
their-
our ordinance also regulate school areas?
No, they would have
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
public property. We already have several ordinances that do that already. The no
Okay.
smoking ordinance
All
does. Okay. As many of you know, we have a vending machine in the rear of Borough Hall. And unfortunately, the machine is out of order right now. Our vendor, after the machine was placed here, actually moved his business out of Bergen County. So he's informed us that he plans to discontinue our service for business reasons. He does not want to bear the cost of repairing a major piece of equipment.
He owns the equipment.
He owns the equipment, correct. So he will be moving it this week. He's going to give us the exact timing so that we can have our buildings and grounds people prepared for that. And he already has given us references for 3 vendors that we will look into to see if they can possibly fill that service. We were never basically a high volume locale, and we understand that. And he didn't mind when he was in Bergen County, but once he moved out, it became an issue. So it makes sense to work with vendors that are in this vicinity. Okay, Oh, I think Councilman Grossman also inquired at the last meeting, you were interested in knowing what kind of information
Right, I
and guidance
appreciate
we
your
get.
sending.
No
that.
problem.
Thank you.
Okay. FEMA assistance to firefighters grants. We did submit 2 applications this year, one for an aerial ladder truck and one for personal protective equipment. So those went in by the required deadline of February 2nd. We are also in contact with the office of Congressman Pascrell. In fact, I know that there's been communication between him and Fire and our consultant, so they are preparing letters of support for the borough to submit to FEMA. We have an upcoming holiday on February 19th. You received reports that are also linked to the agenda here, our most recent engineering report, and also snow reports for the last 3 snow events that we have.
Sorry, can I ask a question on
Sure.
the firefighter grants? When do we find out?
Usually 6 to 9 months.
That long?
It takes a while.
And
Nothing moves fast here.
Lauren,
Yes.
would you please now, you have a conversation about the grants with the county. I guess it's a good time to discuss that.
Okay. I actually ran into Congressman Pascrell and a few other of our congressmen and our senators at a recent event, and I asked them, a lot of our Bergen County people were there as well, our freeholders, and I said to them, our town is very excited. We are looking to redo our municipal field. We are using our open space trust. It was a shame we missed the deadlines for application for Bergen Open Trust, and they said that our town should reach out to the deputy director, tell him how far along our process is, tell him what we've been working on, and again, this is not a guarantee any way, but he said we should be reaching out on the county level and informing them at least that we're doing this project and see maybe if they can work with us. And,
Nothing venture, nothing lost.
It's a side conversation I had in a very casual setting. I can't say it would go anywhere, but I thought maybe I'd follow up with that.
Okay. I mean, from a timing perspective, you'd be talking still almost 2 years.
To receive the grant.
It's a long process. It takes about 18 months to turn around a grant.
So hypothetically, if we did go through the process and receive the grant, we could pay back our open space? Or does
No.
it- has it worked?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna say Bill Pascal promised you a fire truck. And I would've been
No.
excited.
A small one, red one.
And
A
usually
red one.
those grants are to install in a field that never had turf, not to replace turf.
Well, the open space grant in Bergen County actually says otherwise. It actually says to replace or refurbish. Or, there's other words about existing fields to do it. I read through the grant
New
language.
turf takes priority.
Sure, but
And they
Julie,
cut,
you
they
finished
cut
with your-
down the
Yes,
funding.
I'm done.
Well, there's almost $600,000 right now in Bergen County open space. I looked.
Spread across 7
Spread
towns.
under, across, across.
70 towns.
No, not 70. They divided it up into different areas of Bergen. So we're considered North Bergen,
So we're
and
fighting.
it's, I think either 11 or 12 towns only for that 600,000. And so that's not
That's
a
a
terrible
sizable
shot.
amount.
Okay, our administrator's report is complete. Keep in mind,
Assuming anyone else.
it's an attachment, which is the schedule of budget hearings. Our first one is this Saturday from 9 to 1. Normally somebody volunteers to bring coffee and somebody volunteers to bring donuts.
Bagels.
Which one?
Bagels.
Bagels?
I'll do donuts which day.
Oh, no, you did bring that. I'll do bagels next time.
Oh, no, I want to eat a bagel. I don't want to eat a donut.
Both are
Bagels, then I'm doing
Both should
bagels.
be bought.
Anybody
Both are
bring-
I'll bring
bought.
donuts.
We can make the coffee, right, Jill?
We make the coffee.
Oh, yeah, the coffee gets made.
All right, any
Probably
any questions on the resolutions, folks?
Yes. I'd like to separate the 2 resolutions.
Which ones are those, man?
Integrated rat control and public health and environmental health services.
Okay, that's C and E.
C&E.
And I have some questions on H.
On what?
On H, the Roosevelt Common tennis courts resurfacing.
All right, let's start with C. What do you have against
Okay,
rats?
I have a lot of stuff against rats. The problem I'm having with this specific one is the prices that they are preparing over here. A spring-loaded multi-catch device mice that you can buy from a store for $1.50 or $2 from Home Depot is over here $14. One-way multi-door catch is $15. I think that there should be competitively bid because those prices are too high. And on a competitive bid, we might get a much lower price. That's what I have for this one.
Hold on, Joel, was this competitively bid, or is this a contract that we have with these people? Is it a state contract?
It's either a state or a county. In fact, I'm just going to that item now.
$14 for a mousetrap.
Yeah, $14 for mousetrap is, I'll be, give me the contract.
It's a better house.
It's a better mousetrap. For sure, it's a much better one. For them, it's perfect.
Oh, Cooper Pest, yes, this is state contract.
So would you explain what that means, that it's a state contract, please?
It means that the state has essentially done a bid. They've listed the winning bids on their website, and they permit the boroughs and municipalities in the state to utilize them without having to do a separate bidding process.
Yeah, but
Is it conceivable, Jewel, that if we did a separate bidding process on something like this, that we could do better?
Anything is conceivable, but probably not. I mean, it's still going to be a paid service. They're still going to basically come up with costs that are greater than what an individual could buy at a store. But this is more than, they basically deal with the entire borough. And we've had this service for several years, and we find them to be very responsive, and it's basically a very successul program from our perspective.
Well, I know they're responsive, because I know we had a problem over on, what's the street, Tony, that's Cambridge? We had a problem with a
And they
vacant
came
house in
out.
Cambridge, and they were there the day we called them. The neighbors had complained about it, so I know they're responsive. Max, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It goes to the same thing when people talk about B-52 bombers, we're paying $12 for a nut that you could go into Costco and pay
Absolutely.
18 cents for.
Yeah, well, we can basically ask for some bids, and if we find out that they are not competitive, we can always say, thank you, we use the state contract. We are entitled to refuse all of them and go to the state contract. So that, it's no downsize, it's not, we don't have anything to lose to understand if there is something better.
What was
We
the other?
we lose time, and we lose interruption in service.
Well, if we lose time, means that we should have talked about that way before. It's-
What I think she's intimating is that there's so much that has to be done. It's not a matter of time when you do it, it's how you find time
Yeah,
to do it.
but that's the point, if we're using the fact that we're gonna have an interruption, we have to do that right now. I would like to bring my cousin, because he has a very, very good contract too. We cannot use the fact that, okay, we have to do it now because tomorrow it expires. That should have been done earlier, then so.
What's your cousin got to do with it?
He will get a $12 for the rat,
We
only.
can make you a liaison for the rats.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So exactly, so we cannot use the fact, we're gonna expire the contract, we have to do it, it's Monday and Friday the contract expires. That has to be thought in advance. So it will be probably better just to find out a few prices, and then if you find out that they are not competitive, reject them.
We're not going out to bid to buy mousetraps. We're going out to bid for the entire,
Exactly.
For the entire
entire service.
Exactly, for the entire service, go out to, and if we find out that the prices of the entire bid it's worse, we can always say thank you.
And I'll give you a good example. We'll talk about this later. You probably read in the paper about what's going on with libraries. They started with a new vendor,
Yeah.
and the whole system has fallen apart because the vendor isn't able to provide
I
the
think that the
services.
rat system is a little bit different. You have 150 vendors that will know how to catch a rat.
Okay, and they're all going to charge you probably the same amount for it.
Then we can say thank you. We'll have the old contract.
Okay, what's the other
So what are
one?
we doing with this thing?
Well,
Are we-
the Board of Health.
Do you feel a need now to separate this, or can we?
Yes, please.
Okay, so that one's
Yeah.
coming.
And the next thing is the public health and environmental health services.
Okay.
With the
It's a-
nursing or the?
The one that's $48,000. $48,000 is above the limit that we basically have for a public bidding. I would like to know if we can get it's a very large amount of money. I want to know if we can go to a public bidding, so if those services can be provided cheaper, we don't have to keep the same vendor just because we have them for a long time.
This is Mid-Bergen.
Yes, I know.
And it's not just that we've had them for a long time, but what they do is they actually have consistency and stability, and the people that work for us through this contract are located here in the borough. We have looked at several other means of getting this service through other opportunities, including the county. And what they don't do is they don't designate or give us a specific individual who is based on site and who knows our town and its locales inside and out. And that's the biggest advantage we give with Mid-Bergen.
So if we ask for a bid for a person to be on site, exactly like the Mid-Bergen, like to have the service, it's $50,000, 48.
They don't do it. What they do is they have a pool of people, and they expect you to call them when you
Okay.
have a problem, and they will send someone at
So
that
in our
time.
bid, we can ask to have a dedicated person, and if say no, we don't have, we say thank you. So the fact that we can bid a service and we can put our conditions in the bid, it doesn't have to be that, oh, they do like this, that they're gonna do as we are asking them to do, or we don't select them, and we go back to Mid-Bergen. $50,000, it's a large amount of money. We have to make sure that is the best way we can spend the
Don't
money.
you think that's what our professionals have been doing for the last 20 years?
When was this one
This is something that
bid?
doesn't get bid, because the professionals have to be licensed by the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, so we
Unless
can
you're a
ask for-
municipal employee, you have to be part of an.
We can ask for
state-approved
licensed
consortium.
people. We can ask for licensed people to be their representatives.
But the licensed people are either employees of a municipality or a state-approved consortium.
Yeah, so we can ask for state approved.
That's what Mid-Bergen is. It is a state-approved consortium.
Are there any other state-approved consortiums?
The only other consortium is the county, and the county doesn't give dedicated personnel.
Can I just clarify, just because I just want to make sure, this is for our health, Board of Health Inspector? Is that the health, same thing as the health official, officer?
It's two positions. It's the health officer and the health inspector.
Now, our health inspector, is it also through Mid-Bergen, or is it
Yes.
through Tenafly?
No.
Through
So are we
Mid-Bergen.
hiring, this is just for one of the two, though?
No, it's for both.
For both,
So the 50 is for the two to come on board,
correct.
okay?
Well, when you say come on board, they work for the Board of Health.
So they, to come inspect in our town. Do we have a town Board of Health inspector? Because there's, I think, a need for that, someone else who can be here on foot all the time, because there's so many,
No, we have a health inspector that's here 2 days a week.
2 days a week.
You know, you
that this
say that
person?
$48,000 is a lot of money. If you want them there 5 days a week, it's gonna cost you a lot more money.
But that's this Mid-Bergen, the
That's
2 days a week
Mid-Bergen,
person.
correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify
No.
if there was a second
Reasonable
role.
question.
So, Joe, to understand this, because I'm not trying, I'm trying to make sure we get the right. The only and only other alternative is through the county, and the county will give us on demand whoever is available rather than a specific dedicated person.
Correct.
And that is an issue because
Because we like to have somebody on board. We like the Board of Health in particular. Keep in mind, this is under the Board of Health.
Yes.
And this is the arrangement that they prefer. They want that stability. They want a face that they know that these individuals actually attend their meetings on a bi-monthly basis, as does the health officer and the inspector. We don't have to worry about responsiveness because
Okay.
they're here.
You
I
can also
understand.
appreciate the fact
I'm okay with
that if you
Okay.
get somebody different to each meeting, they're not gonna know what they're talking about.
I'm with you. I understand that very well. Continuity is
Max, if we're
important.
gonna set,
It's
all we're
fine.
gonna save is a few $1,000s. It's working, it's been working, listen, Mid-Bergen's with us a long time.
I have
Listen,
no
why do
problem.
you
I
wanna
needed
mix
to
up the
understand
card
that.
All right,
I don't,
okay.
I need to understand that. I
Do
wanted
we
to,
need to detach this one?
we can put him back.
Okay, so we'll leave that one on.
Okay.
Now, did you say you had one, Lauren?
I have a question on the Roosevelt, the resurfacing project for the tennis court.
Okay.
H. So, authorized receipt of bids, do we have I have never seen a project plan for the parameters of this project yet?
Well, this is the fourth stage.
I know,
You were not on board when we
Right.
wrote the grant.
Okay.
got the grant approved.
I know we have the grant, which is great.
Correct.
Um,
We planned the project.
Yeah, but we never seen a plan, was never presented to the council.
Well, you did. You
We
got
did.
the grant application, which has a,
The
which has
grant
a map, it has
showed
the
everything.
specifications, it has
Jules,
everything.
Jules,
Tennis court's rectangle.
the grant application was not presented, it was presented directly to the county. I don't
No,
remember,
no. It always comes to council.
it comes to the council.
We cannot even submit it without council approval.
It just takes so long.
That's why I say, it's
So,
almost a
Lauren,
This
maybe
is
two-year
just to, this is
turnaround.
just to ask for bids, so.
Yeah, may we
for
have
bids.
this in?
Yeah.
This could stay in.
Okay.
And the
I'd
last
like to
one
see
is
this
the
get-
fireworks. This is the same company that did last year fireworks?
Correct, yes.
And is that something that last year we got people basically, we got donations to pay for the fireworks?
We
We
do.
always do.
And this is gonna be the same?
Correct.
Thank you.
If you'd like to donate, see me after the meeting.
Cookies?
Anything else before we adjourn, go into the public meeting? A motion to adjourn the the work session, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're gonna go in, do you wanna stay in here till 7? Do you wanna go inside?
You're gonna make me decide? I prefer to stay here.
Does anybody mind if we stay in here?
No, we stay here.
Same process, just a different location.
Can we take 2 minutes?
2 minutes?
What?
All right, 2
I don't
minutes.
know.
2-minute break.
Are you really thinking to go out
Would you
to
get
bid?
the-
With the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barzalato.
He just went to the firehouse, he'll be right there.
Councilmember Bash.
Here.
Councilmember Dayton.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman.
Here.
Councilmember Parker.
Revisions to the agenda?
Yes, we have two, we're just adding two matters to closed session. One is a attorney-client privilege matter regarding potential employment practice liability litigation, and the other is a contract negotiation matter with respect to the DPW foreman.
Okay.
I'd like to add something to new business. Oh, no, I guess.
For the good of
For the
you.
good of the order, thank you. For the
Okay,
good of
well,
the order?
in the future, bring that up during the work session, and then we decided to add it.
Oh,
What is it that you wanted to add?
I'm going to revise two current ordinances that we have. One is the stormwater erosion statute, and the second one, and that's 27-1, this 2713. And the second is I want to propose a revision to the property maintenance statute.
These should be discussed in the work session under new business, okay?
Okay.
Just let Lisette know what you have in mind, and she'll add it to the agenda for the next meeting, okay?
Okay.
And then, out of the work session should come, if there's a consensus to move something forward, then we charge the attorney with writing whatever we have to write.
Okay.
What was the second one?
Okay, public comment. We have time for public comment on anything you'd like to talk about. By the way, there will be no public comment specifically for the field at that time, so if you want to discuss that, now is the time. Anything you want to talk about, this is really the only time we have public comment tonight. So I'll go around the room, starting my office door. If anybody would like to speak, just raise your hand. Please, just stand up and state your name for the record, please.
Sure, Jonathan Shamash, it's from 6 Whitewood Road. It's refurbishing and maintaining municipal field is really a high priority for our children and the adults in town who are very active physically. For those of us playing soccer in Tenafly, myself for a good 10 years or so, and I remember when the field was a fresh field, and compared to now where it is really, it's become unusable. So I basically no longer play, and I'm waiting for the field to be refurbished to be able to get back out and use it. And it's had adverse impact on my kids as well. So I would just say this is a high priority for public health in our town. And so, we strongly want to encourage the council to move forward with this project.
We hear you.
Jordan Dabby at 58 Bluff Road. I concur with everything that's said. Obviously, we came to the last meeting, and I think just restating that it's a priority that it get done. I know that there's vote as to how it will get done, but for us, further delay isn't really acceptable, so we're here to just support anything that needs to be done to get it done by this next vote would be great.
Thank you.
Michael Greeley, 158 River Edge Road. I've had many conversations with folks here at the table. As a member of the Recreation Board, I can say that we're very excited that you're behind this initiative. We're hopeful that you'll resolve whatever financing issues that you had previously, and that when the time to vote comes up, that you're going to go ahead and vote the way that you committed last meeting. This is a gem of our community. We're really excited about the field. All the folks here that have come to support this initiative speak to its use and its value to the community. Thank you for taking the time to kind of wrap your heads around it, the needs and the wants of the people, and voting the way that we know that you will. Thank you.
John Finnerty, 95 Homestead Road, a member of the Rec Board. I concur with our chairman, and I concur with the citizens that spoke in the back of the room. It's critically important that this not be delayed any further. It is critically important that children not be exposed to any risk for another year, which would happen if it wasn't approved tonight with public space funding. It has to be done. It's got to be done now. I appreciate your commitment to it at the last meeting that we spoke at, and I'm looking forward to it being passed and becoming a done deal. Thank you.
Okay, public comment will close. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which I believe is in its original form. Motion, please.
I move to approve the consent.
Thank you. A
agenda.
second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Thank you. Committee reports. Dan, do you have anything?
I had none.
Lauren?
Yes, the welcoming committee would like to update the website and is looking for the borough's assistance to get the information put on that was in the welcoming book to the website for a new section called New Residents, welcome new residents, and so they can directly click on a link and have at least the majority of what was in the welcoming book transmitted onto a website in a particular area for those moving into our new town.
Who should they speak to? Val?
No, me. I mean, our office will do it, but there's already a button on the home page for new residents. They just have to give us the content.
Okay.
But it has to be in a usable form. It can't be the book.
Okay.
All right, so you'll get that back to them.
That's right. Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Tony? I just would like to mention that there was a meeting, about 40 Bergen County mayors yesterday with the governor, who was good enough to come by. We met in Teaneck, and we spoke with him for about 40 minutes. Seemed very interested in what we had to say. I'm sure that nothing we had to say was of surprise to him. One of the things that I think you might be interested in is they feel that they are working on several scenarios where, to recoup the fact that we're losing the deduction for property taxes. I don't know, and he doesn't know, obviously, if any of them are going to be successful, but New Jersey is partnering with several other states, New York and Connecticut and California, to try and overturn this in the courts. So they look at it as double taxation. We talked about the transportation infrastructure. He's giving high priority not only to Gateway, but he specifically mentioned Hudson Bergen Light Rail. Now I know Mayor Huddle from Inglewood was there for a few minutes, and I don't know if he did that on his behalf, but I found that interesting. We iterated the importance of the reinstitution of the 2% arbitration cap. So we did give him the ideas we had to put out there. I thought it was a good sign that I believe he came from the meeting that you might have been at, so he's spending some time in Bergen County, which is good, because the last governor did not spend a lot of time in Bergen County, and our needs are great. We're the most populous state in the union, in the state, and we need to get
county in the state.
Thank you. And you're right, and we need to get our share. We haven't been getting our share for a long time. So it was, I thought, a very interesting meeting. Max, do you have anything?
No, but I would like to mention something because you just said, I just got verification that file's coming to Tenafly.
Yes.
Yeah, which is very good.
I apologize if I didn't pass that along to you. In the last month, I got word that it's coming, and now I got word that they're actually doing some work on it. So.
Yeah, and as soon as I have the plans, I will be able to communicate to the town, to the council.
Okay, Jeffrey, do you have anything?
Yeah, a few things. First of all, the ad hoc committee on Fister's Pond met, and that's actually very important. Mazer Consulting has requested a pre-approval meeting with the DEP, and they hope to hear within the next month to two. Out of that meeting, they're hoping to get a general permit so that they can go ahead looking at and going forward with the project for a dam, which would be the $50,000 job.
Good.
Nothing more than
That's
that.
progress.
That's where that's at. The AFA committee met, and it was a very bad attendance. I do have to say that only 3 people came, which is not good, and they are talking about teleconferencing, but one of the things they're going to look at this year, one of their priorities is parks out of compliance with ADA.
I would tell you this, well, Dan, did you?
No, I have a question.
Yeah, I was just, none of our parks are out of compliance.
I'm just saying they're going to look.
Well, they actually did a survey some time
We
ago.
worked with them.
Yeah, we worked with them, and as far as I know, we're in compliance, unless the rules have changed.
I will relay that to Mr. Invictus at the next meeting.
We met with them, we met with the committee several times.
I would also tell the members of the governing body that the Access for All committee is one of the most difficult committees to find people that want to work on it. Yes, Dan?
I have, so like at towns in Allendale, they have similar projects as we got on Tenafly Road. I think one of their, or a few of their residents are members of the AFA committee. Have you thought about reaching out to any of the members there, the residents there?
I have not. No, that's a great
That's
idea.
a great start point. I mean, they're active and
Yes, they
they're
are.
part of that community.
That would be a good point. You know, but once again, anybody has any ideas and knows anybody that might be interested, let me know, please.
All right, the other, it seemed like a lot of meetings last week. I also had the Historic Preservation Commission met. They actually had Mr. Rossi there for quite a while, and the gist of the discussion was the Roosevelt Monument and the fact that there's a lot of need for upkeep, an ongoing need for upkeep, and trying to look at what DPW can do, what long-term costs will be, and a frustration on their part that this is not just an ongoing cost, but it may be a losing battle because it's built out of limestone. It is deteriorating and will continue to because of acid rain in this part of the country. Graffiti is taking its toll on it, and so they are trying to look at some much longer term solutions, or trying to figure out, will this be a fight that's just in the long run not going to work? It has tremendous historic value.
Well, it's also on the Register of National Historic
Correct.
Monuments, which is, most people don't know that, but it's a real feather in Tenafly's cap.
It is the first memorial to Teddy Roosevelt as a conservationist in the country, so it is.
They do have an application pending.
Right.
But we've had issues with the monument, not only with the monument itself, but the environment around it. It's a real tough situation. You know, you don't want to take trees down, but it's those trees that provide a canopy that prevent the grass from growing. And it's a very busy place, and of course the skate park makes it even busier.
Especially at night.
So,
And the
sorry?
Especially at night.
The last report is Board of Health, which I covered on the 25th. They just want residents to be aware influenza is very high. Tenafly is a recommendation. One thing I did not know is that we have a code regarding throwing food on the ground for feeding birds. You can feed them from a feeder, but you cannot put them onto the ground because it creates mouse, rat, and other rodent infestation. And
We
they
got a
actually did
contract.
send a warning letter to a group that was doing that. So that is,
there's a lot of interesting ordinances that you don't come across on a daily basis.
that's one of them.
Yeah.
All right, those are my reports.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move to new business. And Dan, you want to read this one?
I would like to read.
All right, Lindsay.
Lauren.
Lauren,
Whatever your name is.
I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 1802, set the hearing for February 20th, 2018 at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter in the Tenafly Municipal Center.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-02, ordinance of the Borough of Tenafly appropriating $214,000 for the municipal open space recreation and historic preservation trust fund to supplement section 3F of bond ordinance number 17-09, finally adopted on April 20th, 2017. Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bass?
Yes.
Councilmember Dayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
That's your funding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's to introduce the funding. They're voting in again.
Next, although I'm all for a very short meeting, I do have a couple of comments which I will add to my mayor's remarks section. First of all, this is truly only our second real meeting in 2018. However, I get the sense that there are members of the governing body that are looking to, for lack of a better term, limit the powers of the mayor. Now, in case you are unaware of this, there are a whole bunch of different forms of government in New Jersey. We are in the borough form of government. That was chosen for us over 100 years ago, and it served us well. The nickname for the borough form of government is the weak mayor system, because in the borough form of government, the mayor has very little power. Okay, the power rests with the council, and this mayor will never look to change that. The mayor does have some you want to use the term power, I don't, but basically it's with appointments. I've always attempted to make my appointments based on merit and with the consent of the council. I don't recall up until this year ever having any sort of issues with any of this stuff. And now all of a sudden, the sense is, well, we want to do it, we don't want the mayor to do it. I think that's unfortunate. I think the system works well. You don't have a mayor that does things unilaterally. I'm always open to suggestions. And I think that for those of you that are new, you need to take a step back and get a sense of how things have worked in the past and how things are supposed to work. And then I think you may look at things a little differently. The other thing I want to bring up is, if for those people that weren't in this room tonight, and turn on channel 77 and watch the TV show of this meeting, they're liable to think that this town is ready to fall apart at its seams. Now, nobody at this table, especially the mayor, is going to tell you that this town runs perfectly. It doesn't. There are a lot of ways that we can do better. But I think that at some point in time, you have to take a step back and figure out how to make the process work. And sometimes screaming and yelling at the table and pointing fingers and being accusatory, and I'm not talking about towards me, I'm talking about towards employees, is not the way to go about it. Okay? As far as communication is concerned, Jewel is the third administrator I've worked for, and I speak with other mayors, and I can tell you the level of communication that we have in this Borough Hall is the envy and as good as anywhere in the state. So if there's a failure to communicate, it's because people aren't trying to communicate or aren't using the proper channels. We are receptive to anything here. When I say we, I look at myself sometimes as being part of Borough Hall because I'm here so much. I'm not an employee, and I don't pretend to be, and I don't give employees direction. I give them what you are supposed to be giving them, direct guidance, all right? Act as a set of eyes and ears for our employees because they can't be everywhere. Many of them, or most of them, don't even live in this town. So you can come in and be very helpful and really help the process if you choose to. Micromanagement is something we want to stay away from. That's the downfall of almost every town you read in the Bergen Record that's having problems starts with micromanagement. People think they're experts where they're not experts. We pay our professionals good money because they're professionals. That doesn't mean they see everything or they know everything. But geez, listen to them and sometimes come away with what they have to say. We charge them with running a town. In this town, for many years, you ask your residents. Everybody says, I speak to residents all the time. Most of the residents think this town is well run. Not perfectly. Not things that can't be done better. Everybody wants their street cleaned a little better or the potholes in front of their house fixed. But that's normal. And we're never going to fix every pothole. We're never going to get every street 100% clean. But we can and will do better. But give our employees a chance and use the channels of communication that are open to you. And I think the process will work better. As your mayor, I'm not looking to run things. All I'm looking to do is make this process work as good as it possibly can. And I think if you search your soul, you'll appreciate that. Let's work together as a team. Because if we're united and head in the same direction without bickering, we'll get a lot more done than if we split up and we fight each other. And that's not my intent. I call a spade a spade. There's 6 Democrats here. I'm an independent. We can still work as a team. I'll tell you, the best council I ever had was 3 Dems and 3 Republicans. We never fought. We never fought. So it doesn't really matter about politics. What matters is getting the job done. All today, you pointed out some things that need to be done. Let's put our heads together and let's work hard and get these things done. And that we're not by fighting with our employees or telling them they're doing a lousy job. Just tell them how they can do a better job. That's all. And I appreciate your patience in listening to my dribble. I'll entertain a motion to go. You want to read the closed session?
Resolved in compliance with NGSA 10:4-12, the Mayor and Council will go into closed executive session, discuss the following matters. We have 2 personnel matters, one involving just an update and follow-up on the DPW investigation report. Second is relating to administration department. We have attorney-client privilege matters. One is the Plaza Condo Association litigation. We also have a new attorney-client matter concerning potential employment practice liability litigation, and one last contract negotiation matter with respect to the DPW foreman position. These will be taken to the meeting and released to the public at the time the matters are resolved. After this closed executive session, the Mayor and Council will reconvene in this Richard D. Wilson Committee Room to adjourn this public meeting.
A motion, please.
Motion to close.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor? I want to thank the public for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.